Hello, welcome to the recorded session of language expansion. Upon your request, some of you guys were talking to me about like we need sometimes to answer a question or we're involved in a conversation and we feel like we need to speak more. We need to talk for a longer period of time. However, the ideas on our heads or maybe the ideas that we have regarding this topic are only very short, or when we express them, they're very short. And this gives the feeling, or this gives us the feeling that we're unable somehow to expand our answer. Of course, if you're applying for one of the proficiency tests like IELTS or TOEFL, language expansion is one of the things that you're getting assessed according to, that you can expand your ideas, expand your answer. In addition to the language expansion, I need to guarantee that the more you're saying, or maybe the things that you're adding to your answer, aren't just kind of rephrase. Sometimes people talk and really they're just talking about the same exact point because as if they're running in their place, they don't move forward, which what we call idea development. You need to develop the idea that you're talking about, or on the other hand, you might be just repeating what you've been saying, which is a little bit maybe might be called redundancy in the even writing style. So now I have some strategies that you guys, if you learn them and you started applying some of them, would be really great. And this would help you expand your answer, not only expand your answer, but this would also guarantee idea development. So let me share with you some of these tips and I hope you find them helpful too. So the first tool that you can be using to help expand your answer is to tell your opinion. Let's assume that you're being asked about your neighborhood. Where are you from or where do you live? Expressing your opinion or telling your opinion about the place that you live in or the place that you're coming from is a part of the language development or maybe the language expansion. And of course, it has some kind of idea development. So for example, you can say, I live in Giza, Egypt. I think it's a convenient city because there are real I can see the really good life facilities. So I think expressing that Giza is a very convenient city because you think it has really good life facilities. That's a nice example of giving your opinion about the place that you live or reside in. Okay. Um, if that person or the person who might be, a little bit need to work on language expansion, he might be saying only, um, I live in Giza. He wishes he can talk more, but actually it's maybe people don't know what to say. So first of all, expressing your opinion is one of the greatest tools that can help you expand your answer and develop your idea. So you have come up with another idea here, which is talking about the Giza or the city facilities that you mainly love. So that's the first thing. Second tool is contrasting opinions. And this has a very good thing to do, or it's a very good thing to do here because as I told you before, the complex structure using if, however, despite, in spite of, not only, but also, although, these connectors are really important to be applied in your speaking skill, not only for IELTS, not only for TOEFL, but as I told you before, these connectors force your brain to start applying some of the higher critical thinking skills, like comparing things and holding comparisons, summarizing and analyzing things. These thinking skills I might be saying aren't really popular or maybe aren't really used among the language speakers, non-native ones. So I do, of course, encourage you to apply these connectors. These would help you talk about two contradicting ideas or maybe two contradicting opinions. So for example, you can say, well, I live in Giza, Egypt, although some of my relatives have recently moved to New Cairo because of the high pollution rates in Giza, I would never move to any new city. So of course, if you're talking about the place you live in, you might be having like, what kind of information shall I provide? Contrasting opinions. You might be saying how your opinion of that place is totally different or contradicting to your relatives or friends. Let's bear in our minds that in order to have this contradicting two opinions together, we had to use although, which one of the connectors that I have previously listed. And again, they're very important to be applied, the complex structure. Third of all, we have the tense variety. And I assume that this tip is one of the easiest that you can apply. It doesn't really need a lot of thinking. It doesn't really need you to be a very, sharp-witted person who's, able to generate a lot of ideas at once. No, if you just talked about the past of something and its present moment and its future plan, or maybe the plan that you're holding for that thing, you wouldn't be actually required to create a lot of content. I mean, you wouldn't be making up a lot of stories, because we sometimes have to make up a lot of stories for the sake of language expansion, for the sake of idea development. So tense variety, I think, is one of the easiest and it doesn't need a lot of effort. For example, you can say if you've been asked the same question, so we're applying the same question to all of the tools. I'm currently living in Giza, so that's the present moment. However, I used to live in Alex most of my childhood days, so that's the past of it. I guess within 2 years, I'll be moving to study overseas in the US. So, as you can see, it's no magic. It's just I'm applying the three main tenses, the past, present, or maybe the three main timeline parts, past and present and future, applying this to a very, very short information. Where do you live? To answer this, of course, has given your answer a very good expansion, and your answer sounds very natural as well. So I do recommend that one in case you find it difficult to generate or to create ideas very fast. I know it takes a lot like effort, but of course by practice you would get used to this and you would be able to generate more ideas and to link them together in a meaningful context very easy. So you have to start doing this even though you feel not really comfortable. So the part of being a little bit discomfortable or feeling I'm not feeling myself while I'm doing this. It is a part of the learning process. When you feel that the tools that you're applying or the techniques you're trying to keep or follow aren't really yours, or don't really express what you want to say, but you need to go with the flow sometimes. Next, I have contrasting and combining details, and it's so much like contradicting ideas, but this one is concerning details. Of course, details about the place that you're coming from. We're talking about where you're originally from, where do you live. So we're talking about Giza as a city. And that person, I said, I live in Giza, Egypt. It is famous for great pyramids in addition to some other historical monuments. So using in addition to, of course, we're adding details, like we're trying to tell more details about the place we're coming from. That's a great language expansion. Or to have contrasting details, like I live in Giza, Egypt. It is famous for the great ancient historical monuments, but I have never visited any of them before. Despite the fact that the place where you live is very famous and popular for the historical monuments and the pyramids, you have never visited that before. These two ideas are a little bit, you know, contradicting to each other. So you can use them as some kind of contradicting details to help expand your answer. Okay. My favorite. So actually the top my top favorite is, as I told you, grammatical tenses variety, so that I can, if I'm talking, for example, about my interest, if someone asks me about my interest and I need to keep talking or I need to tell more, I would be telling him about my preferences or my interests in life now. I would compare this to what I used to do in the past, and I would say, and I'm not really sure if I would be having the same interest in the future, as long as my interests are different from my current interests are different from my past interest. So that is like a very logical way of developing an answer. Again, my second top favorite tool of developing an idea or trying, you know, to talk longer about a certain idea, use the 7 honest servants. That's what I call them. 7 honest servants. Who are they? These are the 7 honest servants. First of all, when, what, where, why, how, who, which. You just need to ask yourself. You just need to ask yourself some questions starting with these majestic words. We might assume like that's just a word. How can this word help me say more? If you just ask yourself when that happened, that's a piece of information that you might be adding. What happened there? Where did it happen? Why did it happen? How did it happen? How did you feel? For example, let's apply this to one, like I might be saying, if you're asked to talk about an occasion that you have loved attending the most. So if you just want to talk about that event, if you have given short answer, you can say, well, I loved my brother's wedding so much because I had all my family there and it was really nice. Okay. You might need to talk longer for a lot of purposes, for a lot of reasons. And in that case, you would be running out of ideas. Like I said, my favorite occasion is my brother wedding. What kind of other information or what kind of information shall I be adding more? If you ask yourself that question, I think the 7 honest servants would be helping you a lot. First of all, you need to mention, you can be mentioning when was the wedding, and what did you wear, for example? Where was it? Why were you happy? How did you feel? Who was there? For example, which means of transportation did you take to the wedding? You know, like you can ask yourself a lot of questions, and you don't have to ask yourself these questions out loud. You don't have to do this. So you can just keep that question on your mind, and while you're thinking, you might be adding other details, or you can just have a piece of paper and pen and take notes of these 7 honest servants. Again, I don't recommend you guys to write any of your sentences that you would be about to say. I don't recommend reciting or reading. You should be practicing speaking first of all. And at the first place, speaking doesn't have that kind of preparation. It only has some kind of instant production. You don't have that much time to prepare. So never take that time to prepare. And to start applying these tools, not only the 7 honest servants, or I mean all the other tools, start applying them in the breakout rooms. For the daily voice note, if your daily voice note is just 30 seconds and you need to expand this for a minute, weekly voice note with Ms. Hadir, of course, like you have only 2 minutes and you need to talk for 2 minutes, but all what you can say is only 1 minute and 30 seconds, for example. The call as well, while you're practicing your questions, while you're being asked several questions covering the material that you've been studying, I do recommend using them as well in order to help yourself expand your answer. Even if you're being interrupted, even if like you're in a breakout room and the other person will interrupt you to ask you a question or something. But always get used to language expansion. That is a very good point, and that is a very good thing to do. And okay, I guess that's pretty much all I want to say. Thank you so much. Wish you best of luck.